Public notice, regular session, mayor and city council meeting, 6 p.m. Oh no, 7:20 p.m. Wednesday, February 12, 2014. I call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance and remain standing for invocation.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Invocation will be Father Gerald Myers of Sacred Heart of Jesus. Father.
I'd like to thank you for inviting me to come and pray for my own benefit, because I had to listen to the activities of the council, because I was talking with Mr. Kitzinger about it. I'm not cut out for this kind of work. I'm so glad somebody else is, so I'm very glad to pray for you.
Thank you, sir. All right, Father.
God our Father in heaven, we worship you and we thank you for the gift of our lives. We thank you for the wonderful creation you have made and all the good people you put in it, and especially for the people here in Nogales whom this body is serving. Father, we ask you for two things. We ask you for your blessing, and we ask you for your guidance. Bless the people who are serving here in this council. Bless the people that we serve. And guide this body as they are discerning what is fair and what would serve the prosperity of the community. So God, in those two ways, please help us to give to each person his due, to treat every citizen of this town as equal, created equally by you, equally as our brother and sister. And help us also to be wise financially and otherwise, so that this town may prosper. We just thank you for your guidance and your gift and your love, and thank you for the peace that we enjoy here. We pray in the name of your Son, Christ Jesus, our Lord. God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Father. Please be seated.
Yeah, they have all this. More strict. Yeah.
Call to the public. I have two speaker forms here. Dr. Prince Richard, is that you? You wrote long issues about that you want to discuss. Some of these issues probably can be discussed here at City Hall, not in call to the public. But if you wish to go to the podium, you have 2 minutes. And just identify yourself and state your address, please, for the record. And then I'll put this in file with the clerk, and then maybe down the road I can identify the people or the staff that can address some of these issues for you down the road.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes.
I am Dr. Prince Funcazamia, a resident of 6 years, a refugee from Los Angeles, and I'm proud to be a Nogalito. And I want to pay back for some of the kindness that was shared to me, and I've offered this evening to the city manager a suggestion for financialization involving an insuring policy for city workers. For say $1 million policy, I can get the city 25% interest paid on that $1 million with no strings attached, guaranteed by the British Royal Bank, Lloyd's of London, and the U.S. Department of Commerce. And this has been done successfully for years with my associate, Dr. William Gregory here, which is an expert on financializations and arbitrages. I've done this successfully. I even loaned $2.5 trillion successfully to the rulers of the Turkle states, and I've done other things. So at any rate, I'm offering this service to the city. Now, I have one complaint first, and that is bad barking dogs on my street. I live at the end of Beck Street, and I wish that something could be done. There's no ordinance apparently, county, state, nor city, regulating the barking dog situation. And it keeps me awake at times, and it harasses the neighborhood, and they snap at me, and the dog catchers say, well, lots of luck, see you later. What can we do about this issue? Can the city take some kind of effort to perhaps pass a new ordinance in this regard? Because there are old people in my neighborhood that don't sleep well, and they complain to me, 3 of them in particular, by the little park there. And this is a concern issue. Another final statement, 1/2 minute, is I am offering the city a fairly large collection of nice desert plants of the xerophytic nature. That means dry conditions for a plant sale. And I suggest that we have a united county and city, or cities of the county, with this one as a primary promoter of Arbor Day. And that we have a festival and a civic barbecue, and that we raise money. 50% of the profit goes to the city, and the other 50% goes to the county and the other little villages that might participate with us. Arbor Day is coming up soon. We have a number of weeks yet. I don't know when exactly. But this would be a lovely time to fellowship, to get to know one another, to fellowship with the police and the fire department, and get to know the councils. And I don't even know my new council member for my little district here. I'm like just north of the post office, but I hope to meet you. And at any rate, I'm offering my services as a financial expert and funder, and I'm willing to even put up $1 million if the city's broke and can't start the first slush fund for this arbitrage system. And it will be no strings attached. I'll sign a business contract granting you the use of my money, $1 million for 1 year, and you'll see that the system works beautifully. We've been doing it for years, haven't we, Dr. Gregory? And we've made other groups and governments wealthy. Why can't we bless this city?
Thank you very much, sir. Next speaker is, did you say Dr. William?
Gregory, yes.
Gregory? Yes, sir. Just state your name and your address for the record.
My name's Dr. William Gregory. I live at 183 Beck Street. And the reason I came today is because I went to the County Board of Supervisors meeting, and I was surprised to the fact that recently, within the last 7 days, all Border Patrol agents are forbidden to receive overtime. If they're in pursuit of a subject and their scheduled shift is ending, they're to go back to their base because they can't work overtime. And if they do, and if they get injured on the job, their insurance is not enforced. And this condition is new for them. For 18 years, they've been covered. If they have to work, like the police that are here, if you're pursuing someone, you're not stopping because your shift's ending in 5 minutes. I mean, it's ridiculous. This is going to cause a lot of crime here because we know with our border problems here, there's a lot of crime associated with it, drug smuggling, the coyotes, and it causes a lot of unrest. And I just wanted to apprise everyone of that fact so they could talk to their federal representatives and remedy this matter. I know that John McCain is very upset about it, but with pressure, because he has a lot of pull. He's one of the 8 or 10 really powerful congressmen. I've met him. I don't really care for him, but he is effective. You don't have to love a politician if they can do something for you. We have to work with what we have, right? But I was quite alarmed at this situation, and I wanted to apprise everyone of it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else in call to the public? Okay. Item number 5. Communications. That's a good time. Communications.
We thought it'd be helpful.
Okay. A, an update on Valverde paving project. I requested this item, and Mr. Dilly, could you shed some light on this a little bit?
Sure, Mr. Mayor. So I assume that I assume that what we need to talk about is, from ever since I came on board with the city, there's been, in fact, I had an opportunity to meet yesterday with a gentleman that lives in the Valle Verde area. But his comments and concerns relayed to me yesterday only echo what would appear to be an ongoing stream of comments and concerns from the Valle Verde residents relative to the condition of their streets. We've heard a lot of comments tonight about conditions of roads generally here in the Santa Cruz County, and in particular here in Nogales, the city proper. One of the challenges that we've had over the past couple of years relative to doing a paving project in Valle Verde is the fact that we don't own the utility under the ground. So as to any kind of understanding about its condition, its age, it makes it very difficult not knowing that information to have any kind of confidence whatsoever in putting new pavement down in that neighborhood. I was able to relay this concern to this gentleman, but with a promise that we would reach out to the current managing company of the Valle Verde Water Company to have a discussion about what their plans are, what their capital plans are when they might be addressing some of the lines under the ground, and then maybe the city could piggyback with that and plan our own improvements in that neighborhood. For anybody who's driven through there, I happened to be through there the other day. In fact, I used to run that neighborhood every morning, but those roads are pretty bad. I have asked staff to take a look at evaluating probably the busiest section of that neighborhood, those roads, which is the Mesa Drive from Grand Avenue. From Grand Avenue down to the Valle Verde Drive, including that intersection. As I took a look at those roads, that particular stretch of road, it seems to be, in my layman's opinion, probably the worst condition of those roads. And what kind of cost would be played out if we were to do an overlay there? I haven't gotten to the bottom of what kind of risk we take because we don't know what the infrastructure is like under the ground. But I do know that just applying current JOC costs, like we use with Days Excavating, who's done a lot of our projects through the JOC contracting, it would be in the neighborhood of about $65,000 to mill a 2-inch and then to put 2-inch surface down with a proposed concrete swell in the middle of that road, part of the middle of that road. So, it really isn't that the city isn't interested in doing something there. It's just incredibly tough to program anything when we don't have the kind of knowledge that we need to. It's difficult to put the kind of paving down when you might run the risk of having it cut up. We can put a moratorium, and we do that customarily when we put a project in. But that moratorium only applies to new services. It doesn't apply to the emergency services. So if there's a line break there, they have franchise agreements with the city and the ability to go in and cut the road and make repairs. So my commitment to this gentleman was to have this meeting with the Southwest Management. Thank you, Southwest Management, who runs the operation there, and find out what their capital plans are, and then sit back down with that gentleman. He's very interested in applying whatever pressure he can, and his resident friends applying whatever kind of public pressure they can to make a difference and allow the quality of life in that neighborhood to improve. So,
Mr. Dillon?
happy to answer any questions.
Yes, well, the 65,000 you're talking about to the four-way stop there, is that in-house or is that putting a company to work?
That's using the JOC.
JOC.
So that would be hiring somebody like Days Excavating to, you know, to go.
If it's in-house, it's probably a quarter of that.
A quarter of it, but with the congestion on that road, Mr. Mayor, my recommendation would be to do it on that road.
Fast, on that road.
I would have a contractor do that one because of how congested it is.
And then you and I discussed, no, we didn't only just discuss that, but we also discussed the chip seal. And we were to do something with the county that we could probably get, what, 25,000 a mile or something like that, you said, or? how much was it?
About 2 years ago, and I provided an update to the council at the time. We had engaged the county, I think it's about 2 years ago, we had engaged the county to see if we could use them as a contractor. They do chip seal a lot. They don't do any paving as part of their operations, but they do chip seal. They have all the equipment and the people that know how to do it. We engaged them to see what it would cost the city to have them do chip sealing for us as a contractor, subcontractor. Roughly, those numbers came back about $25,000 per mile of 24-foot wide road. So your standard residential road, $25,000 to do a mile stretch of that. And although that is, I know I'd have to readdress the issue with the county. That was the number that they used at the time.
Please, yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to caution you about maybe engaging the county, because I believe there's new state law, and I think we discussed this last time, maybe Joe can weigh in on this, where the government can supplant what a private contractor would be doing, especially when it comes to these road infrastructure projects. You remember something along those lines? That when you use in-house, there was just a recent, some state law passed.
As a recent, because we did Palo Parado.
Yeah, but there was a limit. I think there's a dollar limit, and it has to be for maintenance that we
Because in
can.
Palo Parado, we used our machinery and men, and they bought the material.
Right. So I think there's a dollar limit, and there's just something we need to be cautious about when we go down that road and supplanting what a contractor could do. Just to keep that in mind.
All right, thank you. Mr. Parado?
We have some sewer lines from the Valle Verde area, right?
Yes.
Right. And the underground utilities, if they're over 50 years old, and they are, I mean, they should be replaced. And I think we can work with a water company and tell them, you know, if they're over 50 years old, they should be replaced. That's the maximum life expectancy on the underground utilities.
I think that's when Mr. Dilly had, I think you had talked about.
I'm
the
sorry,
utilities.
what was the issue?
See, that's what happens when you don't pay
I
attention.
know, that's bad.
No, what it was. Mr. Dilly.
It was on point.
I
I'm
know,
sorry.
you weren't fine, no, I was just joking. No, Mr. Parado was saying about the utilities, that some of the utilities are, 50 years old since Valle Verde was constructed, actually. And remember, all that was sewer. And then now it's connected, I mean septic, now it's sewer. So, yes, you're right about having to work on the sub infrastructure before doing anything, or at least some type of study on that. And I don't even know if, are all the residents attached to the sewer system there?
They
Or know of?
They are attached to the sewer system, and on the water lines, according to the information that we have received, there are 2-inch lines, and some of them are copper, and they are really in bad shape, so.
That's why it puts a little burden, but I mean, one of the concerns I have right now, Mr. Jolie, is that if we could work on that intersection, that road, if we could do that, and you look at the infrastructure, that's key. It's kind of like a little minor collector road, and like you said, it's probably one of the baddest stretches.
Well, it certainly is the most traveled sections of the road. We might be pleasantly surprised when we meet with the company. I mean, maybe they have a pretty sophisticated rollout plan I'm not the only one that
No,
does.
see,
They're enjoying it.
Vice Mayor, Jesus Christ, I mean, that's what happens when the meetings go this long.
Very important issues here.
Okay, are we talking about the same issue?
Yes, we are.
Mr. Machado?
I'd kick them out.
So, Mr.
So
Shelley,
we
right?
might be pleasantly surprised when we meet with the company and they might have a sophisticated capital plan. I'm just saying, and you know, if they do have something like that, then maybe we can fashion some kind of plan, you know, to roll behind that with improvements based off of our budget capacity. So we just kind of, it all starts with that dialogue, and I promised this gentleman that I'd be willing to engage the company and at least start that dialogue, and I'll do that.
You know, because if we sit down and discuss in the study session as council for future paving projects like we've done in the past, and we have identified streets, and we've been successful. Most of these streets have been completed in the past 3 years. I strongly believe that the Valle Verde area, somebody's buying lunch.
Was that staff?
That was Lee. Lee.
Oh,
no. Document that for, free lunch for everybody. We could, I lost my train of thought, no.
We can program it.
Yeah, we can
have our
program it
discussions.
on a 5-year plan. Vice Mayor, you had talked about that.
There was the question, Mr. Dilly, there in Valle Verde, does it lend itself to chip and seal?
There might be some parts of it, particularly as you go back closer to the freeway. There, some of those roads might play well. I don't think it would work very well where you got those swells in the middle of the road. That would make a chip seal very difficult. But there might be some parts where that application is appropriate. We'd have to just look and assess it.
Now, I think at one time you were gonna look into different streets that could be chip and sealed, right?
We have done that. We just, our eyes have not fixed upon the Valle Verde because of these other issues. And so, you know, we're renewed in that effort. We'll take a look at what those, you know, what streets are appropriate for that and just keep those on our radar as well.
Jesus, I don't know, I can't even top that
It
one.
means we need to go home.
Yes. Somebody has a button
I
for
did
that.
that, by the way, just to teach you a lesson.
I'll teach you a lesson. Okay, we're gonna go to B, update of cost estimates and funding source concerning paving of Industrial Park Drive. Okay, I put that on the agenda too. We discussed this last time. And I had a meeting with Mr. Kissinger about this too. That you know, it's, that road is, you know, we've talked and rough estimates, close to $1 million to go from Target Range all the way to the 4-way stop. And just because of the condition and the application of the surface, because in the first section off Target Range Road, what happens is the majority of the trucks maneuver before they go into their docks on the road. So the surface is gonna have to be done either concrete or done with 5 inches of asphalt, and I believe, Mr. Kissinger, you were talking about 5 inches of AD, the substrate? Is that what we talked about?
We can give you a quick update
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah, and so, my recommendation for this, Mr. Dilly, is that whatever we have right now in overweight monies, we put aside, and then whatever we get, plan for it. So what we get after this season, we initiate a project on that one, because we have to address that road. That road is, I mean, not bad, but it's actually dangerous.
So, we've estimated that if we don't touch the monies in the overweight, and we just allow it to accrue, we don't spend it on any other, street project, we'll probably have that money necessary, come December of 2014.
Yeah.
So that's probably when we would look to engage.
Mr. Kissinger, yes. Mr. Vice Mayor, go ahead.
We do need to get, I think, a study session so we can come up with X streets that we need to use the overweight money for, what streets are eligible, and
Is
how
that-
much we have right now and what we can use and not use. I will congratulate the city, they did fix that street, they did put in that state
Yes.
milled
Yeah.
deal, and at least they eliminated the huge holes there, there are craters there.
Yes.
But they're not there anymore, of course, it hasn't rained either, so, that helped out too.
So is that, I just want clarification.
We need to have a meeting.
I know, I got that
Study
part,
session.
but when we identify these streets, are these streets to be done after we get done with industrial park, or is this in competition with industrial park?
I think, it's all open, I think,
I think
First-
industrial,
first-
Mr.
first
Vice
how
Mayor, I
much
think
money?
industrial park should be on top of the line.
well, it all depends on money, what
Yeah,
the money is,
yes.
yeah.
Well,
I
if,
think we should concentrate on that.
based off of the work that we've done thus far to get a recommended engineering solution for that particular road, if we don't touch any of the money in the overweight at this point, and we just let it accrue, we will have enough money to move forward with the industrial project probably around December of 2014.
Well, how much money do we have right now?
I
How much money do we get
actually happen to have that.
for December, or how much money do we get for November?
So in a memo dated February 4th from the Finance Department, it shows that we have in overweight fees, 489,000.
489,000. Okay, and I think on Industrial Park Drive, I think it's from Target Range Road to where they have the concrete swale there where
The wash?
where the wash comes. That's where the problem is. The others,
That's where we need,
So it's-
protection as runoff. Because the water that comes from EDS, the building,
right?
all that runs in
Runs
the
into
water,
that,
so,
yeah.
and then it goes into the wash. Past that, we wouldn't need that,
Yeah.
that,
Well,
as heavy,
okay, that was
Uh-huh.
another problem.
that's what I'm saying.
So, but the $1 million number that we're throwing out there is for the complete project from Target Range all the way to the intersection.
To the intersection.
But we could cut it into where the wash stands so that we can get it started. This summer when the traffic will be a little lighter,
Yeah, we could do that first phase.
yeah, we could do it in 2 phases or.
The downside to that is that you're paying mobilization twice.
Yeah.
And mobilization tends to be a big part of that.
Well, unless we have other projects going at the same time and the machinery's down here,
Well,
then it doesn't all have to be, that money, we can use GBD money or our own money on other projects, right? And combine them all so they can be down here for a full month or
You
whatever.
don't even want to go in there with CDBG money.
Hmm?
You don't even want to touch CDBG money in that street.
Well, in the future.
No, it'll be 5 years before we get it. You're gonna hear a story right now. Next slide.
Isn't it we study on this, a good report on engineering?
Yeah.
Because I don't believe Aspen's gonna do any good on that section, I think concrete's gonna be.
Yeah.
I think concrete would be the best, yeah.
okay,
But-
the numbers we're talking about.
I know
are
concrete
different.
is higher though.
I know.
Concrete is higher,
It's better.
but if there was, and we also discussed, but I don't know if we've done a complete, cost analysis on it, but a concrete swale,
We have it.
a concrete swale in the middle, that would have to be probably 8 inches thick. And then 5 inches on asphalt on both sides probably would reduce it. But a whole concrete road, yeah, it's probably be $1 million up to the wash.
It's gonna be really expensive.
So what, we have the estimates here and the design specs here from Target Range
Yes.
to the wash. The proposal is to do an 8-inch concrete swale in the middle with 7.5 inches of AC
Okay.
on the sides there, and 10 inches of
Asphalt.
asphalt on top of that because of the heavy traffic. Plus, I believe there would be some concrete curbing on the side, right? Some concrete curbing on the side. From the wash now that's to the wash, right?
Uh-huh.
From the wash to the stop sign in front of the Freud warehouse and those other ones that are, by the way, it's pretty bad, that road. There's some pretty bad holes on that, and that's deteriorating. It's quite the opposite. You don't have the swale, you have a ground, and the concrete's on the side there. And so that would also be 7.5 AC over 10 inches, with a 4-inch concrete gutter. That whole stretch combined is roughly the $1 million to get done.
$1 million.
Yes, sir.
You wanna say something?
Yeah, just as a point of
I said that right, Juan?
That's right.
Just as a point of clarification, if I understand correctly, you guys are undecided whether it's gonna be pavement or concrete, and it all depends on the overweight money.
Let me
Is that correct?
clarify, let me clarify.
Go ahead.
Staff has a solid recommendation. That recommendation has not made it to the council yet by way of design. In the past, we had talked about a number of different options, concrete being one of them. But after we got through with our, who was the consultant that we brought in? Western Tech. So when Western Tech got done with it and gave us some analysis, we put forward the recommendation that John just outlined, with part pavement, part concrete. Because we wanted to minimize as much as possible the cost so we get most of the road done.
Okay. As also as a point of clarification, the #1 priority has already been designated as Industrial Park Drive. Is that correct? Because the last meeting that I was here, you all were undecided whether you owned the city or not, or owned the street or not. Has that been clarified?
Well, we plan to own it after this, after we fix it. Because I think
But
the
you own it
statute.
now.
Mr. Machado, could you explain that?
That was the question the last time.
I think that is something that I need to discuss with the council in executive session. I don't want to give that opinion on
Then as a recommendation, I would like to express and put it on the record that you do not prioritize Industrial Park Road yet. If that's fair to all of you, because, and I remember the mayor saying clearly, no matter what happens, that road has to be paved. And I'm in agreement with that. It does have to be paved some way, somehow, but if you don't own it, who owns it? Or who has the rights to it? Or who should have done it? And if that's not clear, I don't understand how you can go forward with this. Although the necessity is.
I didn't say it wasn't clear, it's just something that I'm not ready to share with you or the public until I speak to the council first.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
But there will be time to reach a conclusion.
Yes, yes.
And that's a good question, because, this is to learn what's been going in the past. That letting the developer build their own roads without going their specifications. This, we're learning the proper way right now, because it's $1 million.
And that's been a discussion, all the industrial park in that area has been under discussion, at least that I can remember, past 6 administrations. And that's why the conditions of the roads are the way they are, is because nobody wants to take responsibility. We know who the developer is, but do they want to take responsibility about it now? Not anymore. Not anymore. And then there was, there were documents signed and stuff like that. And so, maybe that's the legal aspect of Mr. Machado that he wants to explain to us. I can understand that. But, I can understand also, there's probably other priorities that because we got a list from you, remember, from Fresh Produce. Lance, you sent them the list to us, and you had identified some priorities. We looked at that. We still have that, and we still have that under consideration. It's not that we're going to ignore that, But the thing about it that in Industrial Park, I've talked to some of the people. Matter of fact, I talked to one of the newest tenants that's going to be there, Maval, and he told me, he said, Mayor, I can help on this. I can help on this. He wants to do something better in front of, because his trucks, they're going to do all the maneuvering inside, because we changed everything, and we're helping him be able to do his work to the point that his trucks will maneuver in there, the fire truck will maneuver in there, not on the street, So I just wish that would have been done with the warehouses right in front of him, which all maneuver out in the street, and that's the problem. That's what's causing this deterioration of the road.
Same problem with Rio Rico Industrial also.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yes, Vice Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, maybe the people that do the maneuvering should be advised that they're gonna have to come up with some way.
Yeah, there's ways of doing it, yes, there's ways of doing it, yeah. But we should look at the overweight money and also help out in the area that what it was meant to. So let's look at that and think about that too. Okay, so let's go to, item number C. Discussion concerning vehicular and pedestrian bridges. I brought this one up too because this discussion has been going on, and I think there needs to be some clarification, and I think it's time for you to get up. I think it's time for Juan to get up. I think it's time for John to get up, and you better be prepared.
Which one are we talking about?
Vehicular bridges.
Can I kick it off?
Well, you can kick it off, Mr. Dillon, but you weren't even around when we did these
I know.
plans.
So, let me just kick it off real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
You know, back in 2007, right, the city had a study done by Kimberly Horn and Associates. It's titled Nogales Railroad Small Area Transportation Study. Now, this is just a small portion of that study. I just pulled the key parts out of it. Talking about, I had to educate myself because Mayor, when you asked for that item to be on the agenda, I was like, what is this, right? So, they talked about several different concepts, both pedestrian and vehicular, in terms of overpasses from the railroad. I'm curious to know, it had some recommendations of some pedestrian overpasses down there by the Food City area.
Library.
Yeah, right there by the library, up there closer to the courthouse. Had some vehicular overpasses. One of them was pretty spectacular in terms of going from behind the Walmart.
Yeah.
To
Hohokam.
To Hohokam, and then eventually it curves around and meets up with SR 82.
Yes.
A lot of different scopes and concepts. All of them had, back in 2007, incredibly high price tags to it. Some of them, now this is just a concept report, so not all of the ideas they put price tags on, but I'm curious to know exactly why we wanted to have this on the agenda.
Oh, well, I'll tell you why I wanted to have it on the agenda.
Okay.
We've been talking about bridges for 20 years.
40 years.
Well, 40, yeah, but 20 years we've been talking. And that study right there is nothing compared to the other ones. There's other studies and PowerPoints that were here. I attended the meetings to listen to them, okay? There were studies that they were going to the point of, as far as looking out for environmental impact studies. There were talks relating to sitting down with Union Pacific, sitting down with the county, sitting down with the state, and the federal government. And what I have to make sure everybody knows, that without these 4 or 5 players I just told you right now, you will never get a bridge done. Okay? You'll never get it done. This is not Nogales, Sonora. Nogales, Sonora will pop up a bridge before you blink your eyes. Okay? Here, we have a wash. Okay? IBWC, you know what we're going through just to get the IOI fixed. Once you get the IBWC involved in going over their wash, there's big concerns, environmental. One, we went after a Tiger grant. You remember that?
Correct, sir.
What happened to it? We couldn't, huh?
Yeah,
We weren't shovel ready.
yeah, that's correct.
Why were we shovel ready?
Well, we need to invest in the design first.
And the environmental impact study.
Right. And land acquisition, maybe properties,
Yes.
right away.
And we tried. We tried doing that. And that's why I wanted to discuss this, Mr. Dewey.
Okay.
Because, there's people out there saying, hey, we want a bridge, we want this. I think we need to put this information out there. And if the newspaper's there, maybe you can put this out there. Because these studies, we can give you that, but we've had studies going back to the Marcos administration, Marco Lopez administration, Rios administration, talking about bridges. We, at one time, we were hoping to do a pedestrian bridge right at the old City Hall one to the placita, no? To the kiosk.
That is correct.
Yeah. How far did we get with that one?
Well, still, it costs about $5 million, just the pedestrian bridge.
Just a pedestrian bridge.
Right away is not included.
And that's without the environmental impact study?
And without right away.
Without right away. And the last time I heard, Mr. Dilly, back about 8, maybe 10 years ago, the vehicular bridge, the cheapest one was $41 million. And that was the little one.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna
I
say,
think-
that's the one down by the library.
Yes.
The one up by Walmart, that's no
No.
$40 million.
No. $150 million.
Was to connect two pieces of.
So until we, as a city, can get the 5 players that I mentioned on the table and talking about a vehicular bridge, that's the only way it's gonna be done. And we've tried it. 4 or 5 administrations have tried it. So, it's a lot of money. And the city will never be able to afford a bridge like that unless everybody puts on it. And you know how it is, and Alejandro and Juan, correct me if I'm wrong, the way it's done, whoever impacts the circulation of traffic is probably the one that has to put more money. Who impacts the circulation of traffic? Could you answer that for me?
Yeah, the railroad.
The railroad. Who impacted the circulation when Walmart was built on White Park, and who paid for the lights? Walmart. On all these things, when they impact, cities are involved in these things, but you have to be part of this. And that's the reason I wanted on the agenda, Mr. Dillon, because if we're gonna be discussing these things, and if these things are gonna be mentioned on radios, and if these things are gonna be mentioned on newspapers, we have to get that information out, because we have to either sit down and start discussing this in a study session and bringing it up to the public and identifying what we have to do, not just saying that the city will build a vehicular bridge over the railroad. That's gonna be, it's almost impossible. And that's why I wanted it on the agenda, and I didn't wanna put Alejandro on the stand, or Juan, but I don't remember Juan and I being discussing this, in 2007, Juan? No,
2009.
2009, huh? We discussed this, and, because we went after a Tiger grant, and, we failed for that one, because we weren't shovel ready, they told us. And the same time that Tiger grant went on, Mr. Dilly, is when, the Port of Tucson was going after their Tiger grant that they received this year. But they were shovel ready, we weren't. Go ahead, Vice
Mr.
Mayor.
Mayor, remember, to be shovel ready, I think we had come up already with like $3 million.
Yes, it was outrageous.
You have the design done.
$3.5 million. When Marco Lopez was the mayor, I sat on the advisory committee, and we
Yes.
had a meeting with IBWC, the Corps of Engineers, the railroad. The railroad's opinion is whatever you can afford, do whatever you like, right? Whatever you can afford. And IBWC and the Corps of Engineers, as much as said, don't you dare touch the arroyo, don't you dare drill anything close to the arroyo, don't you dare touch the sewer line,
Yeah.
under no condition. So the deal was, if it was gonna be a bridge, for vehicles, it had to be like in Beck Street, had to go way back
The
there.
span was large.
Yeah, eliminate all of Beck Street, go all the way back there, do something or other back there so they could make a big turn and then get on Morley Avenue. And again, the cost was prohibitive at the time. It was way over 40 million then, because they had to come up with some real modern design for a bridge. So everybody at the time decided, it's a tough situation, but it's, You know, the population will never be here to go ahead and warrant spending, $80 million, never.
And I remember at the time, Mayor Marco Lopez was the one that had the meetings with Union Pacific that developed the changing of the air brakes and of the trains in Rio Rico. That's when it started. The one we have right now, that has probably saved a lot of time, because the train was blocking 25, 30 minutes. Park Street, Court Street, all the streets were being parked at the time. Now everything's done over there, the inspections and everything. So that was kind of like to alleviate a little bit of the traffic itself, of the train. But these are situations that we're gonna have to be confronting the next, years. And I'm not talking 3-4 years, I'm talking 10, 20 years. And I think we as a city do have to start studying this, Mr. Dilly and Alejandro, Juan, finding solutions, not problems. Let's find solutions. And because you guys find problems all the time. Both of you. Lee, tú también. You always find problems, but we have to, let's find solutions. Let's find the right people that we can sit down to talk to about this and see what we can do, Mr. Dilly, because eventually we're going to have to do something.
Can we just do away with the bridges for now and talk to the Union Pacific, if we can make just a road here in the back of the Fat Boys, so we can have an opening that they have in every crossing with the lights and everything, that could be done.
Another road.
Yeah.
Tomorrow Avenue.
Right.
Yeah, that could be done.
Yeah, that'd be better than getting a bridge, cause.
Get another crossing.
Right, another
Different
crossing.
crossing. Yeah, that could be done, Mr. Parada. But we have to find solutions, because we know very well that, come on.
Yeah.
I just, it's because I hear these stories and that the city of Nogales isn't building the bridges. It's not the city of Nogales, Mr. Dilly. It's if we wanted to build a bridge and we had the funding, of course we would have jumped at it. We could have paved all the roads and we could have done a lot of things. But as staff, I'm asking you to find some type of direction and something to do and figure out how we can tap into something. And I remember the Tiger Grant. I thought that was one of the biggest solutions ever. But I mean.
Well, it could have been if
Yeah.
we were prepared
If
for
we
it,
would have
but
been prepared
just
for
to
it.
get prepared, it sounds like it was a lot of
Yeah,
money.
it was gonna cost them, like the vice mayor said, it was gonna cost us a couple $1 million or more.
Well, I heard a lot about the pedestrian bridges. I know that when I came on with the city, the city had some money tucked away in the, in capital. We never moved in that direction. I guess now I kind of understand why. The realization of getting one of these pedestrian bridges put in, even based off of this study that was back in 2007, is quite a chunk of money. So now they have the study. It's good form of information, but it doesn't mean that the dialogue has to end with Union Pacific. I mean,
We have to continue doing that.
we can
Like
engage.
Mr. Parada said, it's true. They can help us. They can help us with a solution. Okay, we'll move to, so, kind of have an idea? Juan, no te acercaste, Juan.
Okay, I'm writing it.
Yeah, right, you're writing everything. Okay, discussion items. Number 6, A, consideration possible action of discussion item 14-1. Mr. Dilly, this is yours.
Yeah, I'd like to invite Aaron up to just give us a brief on the home rule and the tentative schedule to getting this taken care of. Very important item. I briefed the council last council meeting that this was coming up this election year, and so I'll turn just a few minutes over to Aaron.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. If you look at your packet page 4, you'll see the proposed schedule for the home rule election in this year. The last time the city held a home rule election was in 2010. It's good for 4 years, so obviously we will be up again. So after our meeting tonight, we will advertise for public hearings to be held at the next 2 consecutive regularly held city council meetings, both first one on March 5th and the second one on April 2nd. After the meeting on April 2nd, then we will take an action to place it on the primary ballot. The primary election is scheduled for August 26th. The item will have to pass by a 5/7 vote, and so to make it onto the ballot. I think most of you are well aware of the importance of home rule election. I put together a letter that's in your packet that talks about the importance of this. And on packet page 6, there's a brief little calculation there just to kind of paint the picture of how important the home rule election is to the city. Our estimated expenditure limitation for fiscal year 2016, fiscal year 15-16, would be $39 million. Our budget this year was $53 million. Just to give you an idea of the difference, we're projecting that will probably be more for fiscal year 15-16. Our budget will be more to the tune of $50 to $60 million. So that would be, if home rule election doesn't pass, we would have to cut $16 to $20 million out of our budget. That's substantial, right? That would have a significant impact on core city services. And so that is I think that's the take-home point on how important it is that, number one, this proposition be put on the ballot, and number two, that it pass the popular election in the primary election.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Mr. Jody.
Aaron, just to try to put it even further in perspective, many of you on the council remember what the city had to go through the summer of 2010 when we tried to solve what was close to a $3 million budget deficit. We went through a lot of exercise just to try to find a way to make ends meet on that. What's the general fund budget?
And this year, the general fund budget is just under $20 million.
Okay, so
I mean,
essentially we would have that amount of money we'd have to wipe out of the operating budget for the city of Nogales if home rule doesn't pass, and that's because of a state mandated formula. But the whole issue of home rule is the state, the state dictating what your expenditures are as a community, regardless of the county revenue, instead of you as an elected body calling that decision. So that's really what home rule is about, where the control lies. If you're not a home rule community, then the control lies with the state. If you are a home rule community, then the control lies with its governing body, you as a city council.
Mr. Mayor, if I may draw your attention to packet page 7, the first paragraph, I think that's the one that I would like to read, perhaps for the record here. It says, "It is important to understand that the home rule option does not in any way change the requirement for the council to adopt a balanced budget each year. Furthermore, home rule does not represent a tax increase, additional revenue streams, or excessive expenditures. The home rule option is available to allow the city to continue to expend resources generated by local revenues on current levels of service and programs, as well as can be utilized for future demands for service." I think it's very important as staff that this is not a tax increase. That this is just allowing you all to be ultimately make the decisions in regards to our budget.
Happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Anybody have any questions? We basically know what could happen in questions. So it's gonna be up to us on this one, as elected officials, to make sure that this passes.
Thank you.
We take action on this one? We take action?
Aaron, is
Yes.
there desired action on this?
Is there desired action? Survey?
There's no action at this time.
Yeah.
The staff will advertise the public hearings that will take place in March and in April. In April is when we'll have an actionable item.
Okay, thank you. Okay, B, discussion possible action to fill and staff Economic Development and Tourism Advisory Board. I'm gonna pass the members of the city council.
Mr. Mayor, while you're doing that,
Yes.
can I kick it off?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Dilly.
Okay. I actually asked for this item to be put on the agenda, and in at your January meeting, the council put into place what we affectionately call EDTAB, the Economic Development and Tourism Advisory Board. EDTAB is designed to be a 15-member board that consists of a solid cross-section of our business and tourism industry. And the duties assigned to EDTAB that was put into place through your vote last council meeting is really to take the lead and charge as an advisory board to the city council on those types of related issues. You know, I had the opportunity to grab a hold of an article from the Sarita Times. Talked about, this was, trying to find a date, the end of January, talking about how Mayor Bloomberg and the vice mayor and other town officials like the town manager, and they have an economic development manager, how these folks have been over the last couple of months taking trips down to Nogales, Sonora, Hermosillo, Guaymas, the port of Guaymas, courting and attracting produce and industry. I know that they specifically mentioned the industry part, the maquiladores. They talked about having a future agenda to go to other places like Obregon to do the same. It just dawned on me. I mean, I've been at enough meetings now over the last year or so with you know, the people from the Maricopa Association of Governments, Mayor Stratton in Phoenix, you know, Mayor Rothschild up in Tucson. It just seems to me that the city has finally, through a lot of efforts, not just on our own, but you know, the Fresh Produce Association, the Port Authority, we've all collectively, I think, have made a great effort to turn all eyes to the border. And it only makes sense that those eyes, specifically when they're on the border, they're looking at the flagship port of entry that is being constructed and is soon to be completed, that being the Mariposa Port of Entry. I think there's a lot to say about the effort that's taken place and the momentum that's happened, which is evident in articles like this coming out from the Sarita Times and these communities doing what they're doing. So I thought it was important that, you know, we need to make a strong go at our economic development effort and our tourism effort. And EDTAB is certainly the machine and mechanism to make something like that happen. So I approached the mayor and I said, Mayor, part of the bylaws and the structure of this is that you need to put forward names to fill these spots. The council makes the ultimate vote on those to put those people in place. I know that the mayor's been pretty careful in his selection on those from the various industries that are identified in the bylaws that you guys approved last month. But I also wanted to, so I know that he'll take a minute and go through this list with you, but I also wanted to bring up another key component to the success of this board that you guys have created. We have other boards, advisory boards to the council. We've got the planning and zoning. We've got the EBT. We've got the Board of Adjustment. We've got these other boards that without staff support would fail. They'd flounder. They would not be successful. You have to keep agendas going. You have to do minutes. You have to do homework and research. You have to put forward recommendations. And you have to do analysis. All of these boards require that. And so, as part of the bylaws that you created, when you ordered the adoption of this advisory board, there is anticipated staff support. Well, I know that we're not in a position of creating a new position. Dollars are tight, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I took to the task and and I've been working with HR. What I'm recommending to you tonight is adding responsibilities to an existing staff person, and sending some extra budget authority over that way because of the added duties, and my recommendation, because of the work that our management analyst has done for the city in the past 3 years, leading the charge with the summit meetings, the 2 international summit meetings with Siegel, leading the charge on putting together the incentive plan, the 3 incentive programs that you guys adopted maybe 2 years ago, putting together the white paper that helped us communicate a need to the state to have political alignment and realize trade and commerce is hugely important, and that's coming down through the city of Nogales. Making sure that we're reaching out to interested commercial entities wanting to build in the community. Our management analyst has been key in that. In fact, I believe was instrumental in bringing Erica Stahl here, and is why they're under construction today. Keeping in tabs with other developers from the Tucson area. It's an ongoing effort. I believe our management analyst has demonstrated an interest and a capability of being able to staff our EdTab in a way that it would be successful. And so as part of this item tonight, I'm making a recommendation to make the budget adjustment and allow me to move forward with a change in the job description, which is my prerogative anyway. But it's only fair to do so as a budget adjustment.
Go ahead. Is there anything I should know?
No, it was a legal matter.
Legal, okay. It's worrying me now.
We just want to make sure we do things right.
Okay. Yeah, we have to do things right. I'll talk in reference to the economic board, the people that are on this list for approval by the council tonight. And the Fresh Produce Association, we reached out to all these organizations that were basically outlined to me because of what we approved last meeting to develop this tourism advisory board, economic. So the Fresh Produce Association, it's Lance Jungmeyer, Asociación de Maquiladoras, Richard Rubin, the Port Authority, Bruce Bracker, superintendent of schools is Neil Zerman. Alfredo Velasquez, sorry. Nogales Community Development, Neil Zerman. The Unisource Energy Services, Roberto Guevara. Nogales Chamber of Commerce, Greg Lucero. Bank of America, Alfredo Leo. Walmart, Miguel Garcia. Century 21, Gabriel Castelo. And then there's five community members, and these are people that are very active in anything that has to do with tourism and bringing people into Nogales, and really could be great support for this. Is Linda Rushton, Yvette Palmer, Mary Darling Jr., Christine Corlin, and Manny Noriega. They've all accepted to be part of the board, and it's up to us to approve this. When Mr. Dilly was talking about in reference to having staff, a qualified person and the staff, and you have to understand whatever this person does, and like I think the most qualified would be Aaron, because he's been doing a lot of it. And I can honestly witness that it was in my office when Aaron and I talked to the people the developers that came for the development of Aeropostale. It was in my office when the directors and the producers from the movie came in for Hangover. A lot of those things have happened in my office, and Aaron is an asset. Aaron is an asset to economic development and an asset to being an analyst with the city. And I don't even know why he applied for finance director, but to tell you the truth, I think, and I understand, Mr. Dilly, that if it came for somebody to take over something like this, that the responsibility would be a lot greater. And I understand that there'd be probably a lot more work, because this board is the vision. This board is the direction we're going. This board is a presentation I did in the Hermosillo this past weekend, and they loved it. Everybody said that it's key to Nogales. The majority of the cities have boards like this. And with this, and with EDF, out of the Port Authority, the Economic Development Foundation, and then NCD, and all these groups getting together, we could take Nogales in a different direction. And you know, I think this is key. This is key, and I think this is very important, and I think this is going to be the future of our city. A lot of communities want to see this in communities, and I'm sure you expressed that a lot of communities have boards like this already working for them, and in the areas of marketing and branding communities. So I asked the members of the city council for your support in approving this board. Yes, go ahead.
Very, very good list, very impressive people, excellent list, it really is, and I think it would be a big asset with everyone there, and I think there's nothing else, let's take the vote here.
Yes, yes. All in favor, signify by, I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yes, have it. Thank you very much. C is getting to that point of the day that people are exhausted. I can see it in your faces. You know, I'm exhausted too. But if you can give me the right information, and I need two people on the stand, Mr. Kissinger, Señor Cárcenas, Bárcenas, and Juan, and Mr. Kissinger, and two. Could you please come to the podium? Because we're gonna need some answers of this. You gonna start it off, Mr. Kissinger?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, this is.
Wait.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Alejandro and Juan, I'd like you to come sit up
Yeah,
in
get
front.
closer. Yes. This is discussion and possible action on CDBG funding for paving Hughes Street. And we had that discussion last time, and what we need to hear from you, this is what I expect from you today, and I hope you have an answer. And if you don't, you better have some type of answer that I can sink my teeth into. Okay? Remember we discussed this, that we had talked about this, that this street was supposed to have been started paving in September of last year. Because it was said that it was gonna be, and it was gonna be September and October, and we're gonna start on that, and then we found out that environmental impact studies and certain other studies weren't completed, and I know the guidelines of CDBG funding. I know what you have to do. And I know that we have to go by the guidelines, otherwise we cannot administer or spend the money. I know that. But what I don't understand, and I don't know, is that when you say something and then we can't do it, then why say so? So, what I want to hear today is say something that I can sink my teeth in, and then hopefully what you're telling me today is that that area will be paved very, very near future. Talk to me.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
First of all, on behalf of my two amigos here, I would like to personally apologize to you, Mr. Mayor, and to this board and to Mr. Billy for our miscommunication that we were going to start the Hughes Street project last year, right? We started the process, not the project. And that was a miscommunication, and it was a miscommunication on my part too, because I believe I stood right at this podium and we talked about the CDBG project and Hughes Street getting done. So that's our bad. We apologize and we take the blame for that. Now, the good news is that we are moving along with the CDBG monies, which, by the way, usually takes between 2 and 3 years from announcement to award to getting the money to doing the contract to bidding the contract. We can't use JOCs. We have to put out the official bid. We have to jump through all the state Department of Housing hoops. We have to do the environmental study. On this particular project, just to give you an idea, we even had to do an environmental study on the little owl, right? Was it an owl? An endangered species of some owl. We had to make sure that there's no owl. And this is on a street already built preservation project. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but we need to do this in order to get
where the owl lives.
I know. Anyway. But Mr. Mayor, the project seems to be going on task with the CDBG process. We don't anticipate any holdups at this point, and we're really hoping to get it done. And when I say get it done, I mean put the dirt, shovel in the dirt this spring.
Okay.
The spring before summer. Sir.
Yes, I know. My concern was that I knew that I had talked to you about, if we could pull out of it and then use our HERF money to get some of this project started, but you brought to my attention that we would lose $7,500 or something like that in administrative costs.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. What would happen? We would lose the entire CDBG monies. So that would be swept away.
But then we'd have to pay.
And then, in addition to that, we would have to pay about $7,000 worth of administrative fees. And then, if we were to use HERF money to do Hughes Street, that's leaving us less HERF money to do some of the other street priorities that you all have been talking about. So it's staff recommendation, even though that we came up with a wrong shovel in the dirt date, that we continue with this project, and with everything goes good and we don't get called up here again, that we get it taken care of this spring, sir.
Okay. How sure are both of you?
Mr. Mayor, then I'll turn it over to them for the how sure part. If you don't mind.
Yes.
Hold on, Mr. Mayor. John,
Sir.
hold on. So, what streets are we doing with this project?
Hughes Street.
Hughes? and it's gonna go around, no?
We're planning on Hughes, depending on the bid, Mr. Mayor, we only have a finite amount of money. If we get favorable bids, right, we have, the contractor on site, we're going to do our very best to get as much foot
Yeah.
out of
Because
the money.
Yeah, I understand.
So if we could, we'll go around, we'll go up Smith,
Yeah.
and we'll come back down Stevens.
I wanted to be
If the
crystal
funding
clear
will
on
make it.
managing expectations.
No.
That's my only point.
I understand, I used to be the public works director.
Gotcha.
I know what can.
But I'll let Juan even speak more about that.
Yes. Both of you. Okay, I recommend both of you get up.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, yes, I think we have done everything that we needed to be done to keep the project moving. One finished with the design of the street. All the requirements are moving along, so we're hoping and really we're really positive about this project.
We're still out just to do one manhole.
Yeah, that issue has been
Okay, that's
resolved.
okay.
Yeah,
Remember
that's
you
not an
you
issue.
wanted to remove some sewer
Yeah.
lines, the sewer line is good.
Yeah, that sewer line is not gonna be an issue now.
So it's gonna be paving and whatever needs to be done for that infrastructure.
That's correct.
Okay. And, Juan, do you have anything else to say?
Well, just to echo what Mr. Dilly and Mr. Kissinger just said, Mr. Barcenas, they are saying what we have found out lately. Thank you very much, and I want to let you know that your pressure has helped with the Department of Housing. They know about it, that the council is concerned about that this project needs to happen sooner than
I made a few phone calls,
Yeah.
but they weren't like that.
I received a couple of emails from Sigo and also from Department of Housing concerned about what Mayor Castle is thinking about this project. So they are trying to do their best also, and they said that they will put it in the agenda this month. So
Good.
we hope that we'll have the approval, the release of funds this month, and then we'll be able to build the project. So that's it. Thank you.
Well, that's good to hear, you know, I really appreciate that. Now, Mr. Dilly, this is your side. Okay,
He keeps talking to
I
me.
know. There's gonna be some type of disciplinary action. Mr. Dilly,
Yes.
when it, you know, because we had already advised the people in Hughes, and we had put it in the paper, and we had mentioned that we were doing that. What I need from your office, or from all of your offices, I need a letter to be drafted to all the residents in that area. And that
Give them an
letter,
update on what's
an
going on.
update of what's happening, and explain to them that yes, this is what the letter has to say, that we approved the CDBG money on that, and that was over a year ago. What was it, about a year and a half, or something? A year?
Yeah. Yeah.
About a year and a half ago, that we approved it, and yes, we said that we were gonna do it on October of last year. And like Mr. Kissinger says, you know, what was mentioned that we were gonna do in October is that we thought that we were gonna start, but we actually were going through the administrating and creating everything, and then identifying a
Sure, I think I understand.
update.
Sure.
Can we do that, Mr. Dilly?
Absolutely.
This way, you know, because, you know, these people have been waiting. This is one of those streets, again, that's been waiting, you know, all these years and since, and you know, we already put that CDBG money in track, and the worst thing about it is to lose the administrative cost and everything. And this way, when I go to the Seago Executive Board meeting, the next one, and we vote on these things, I can actually vote on these things now. They're very, very comfortable. I want to thank you very much.
I think John did a great job. Maybe he ought to write that letter.
Yeah. Jonathan, we should write that letter.
Mr. Mayor, it would be my pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll take it from there. Okay, next one. D, discussion and possible action to direct the Human Resource Department reference the evaluation form, procedure, and timeline for the city manager, city attorney and city magistrate positions. I placed that on the agenda. I requested that last time. Mr. Dilly, do you have some type of update for the city council or human resources?
I think I'll turn HR over
Yes.
to you. She can give you an update.
You know, I know you can do this pretty fast. Could you knock it out in 2 minutes?
2 seconds.
Okay.
So, I did work on the timeline. Pretty much the process is the same one that we did a couple of years ago. So I have a timeline and I can give that out to you.
Alva, you're referring to the city manager?
The city manager, sorry, the city manager. I know the city attorney and Judge Galindo has already placed something in your boxes, right? So I know I read the memos and there's no deadline, but I can definitely partner with them and tell you guys, you know, when is that deadline for those to be turned back. Both memos say that they need to be turned back to me. I'll do a summary, right? And then give you that summary. So I'll definitely get you that deadline as far as getting it back to me, and then I can put everything together.
When's the deadline?
I don't know. I will
think
get with them.
the magistrate is what, 4 weeks or something?
Because she's doing a survey,
A survey type.
and that's gonna take about 4 weeks.
And yours, Mr. Matalas?
Well, it's really up to you because, the form is already, or I don't know how
Yeah.
that works, but you access the form. It's called the monkey survey. It's a survey.
I just like to see him say
Go on, say
it.
But it's a mechanism that was created for city manager evaluation.
Oh, that's a real monkey
Not the
then.
city attorney.
Okay, all right. You played it good, Mr. Dillon.
But anyway,
I didn't understand, Mr. Mayor, I didn't understand. What is the monkey survey? What was it again?
Well, it
Is that
was,
for the attorney? Is that what this
It's a survey of the monkeys.
Well,
It's a survey of the monkeys that you guys hired. So, you'll access the evaluation form through Alva, and then, she'll compile it all up, and everything is ready, so it's really, it depends how long you want to, you could do that in a week, I guess, and compile the forms, and then mine will be ready for the next meeting, or whenever you want. And I imagine the same thing for yours, or
well,
yours is
well, no,
already.
his is a little bit longer, so if I
Yeah.
can share this with you.
yes.
So his is a little bit longer and I have a timeline. Obviously, I will get the evaluation forms. Those you do manually. I'll have those evaluation forms in your inboxes Friday with instructions and the deadline that those need to come back to me. I'm giving you about 2 weeks to put it together. And then all directors, we go through the Survey Monkey and we do our survey on Mr. Dilly. So I'm allowing them, we're gonna start that process March 3rd, and I'm allowing them a week and a half to complete that survey. Then I have to put all the information together, and I'm hoping that I can do that and meet with the mayor the week of March 17, 21st, so we can present that performance evaluation to Mr. Dilly on the April council meeting during executive session. So that's the goal. So I'll definitely partner with Mr. Machado and we can do it in March, and if I can get the information, or we can do it in the April meeting as well. So,
Do we need to take action on this or just
No.
direction? Just direction?
just direction.
Okay,
So, sounds good?
yes. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Very fast.
Okay, item number 7, consent agenda. The minutes approval and B and C. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second. Thank you. Discussion, none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the ayes have it. Number 8, orders.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
On the orders, on order number 201402, 006, 007, and 008, I just wanted you to know those are all directly tied to the asset lease that we did in December. All those purchases are tied to that, and we're all identified on that list that you guys approved. So I just wanted, maybe that would help speed things up for you guys. But these are all in line with that list of approved capital assets.
Can I, Mr. Mattel, can I present all 3 of them at the same time?
Sure.
Can I?
I
Okay.
would motion them, I would motion. specifically
Yeah, and then
identifying
that
the
last
orders.
number,
Yes.
last number. Okay.
Even,
I'm gonna do the motion, and it's gonna be A, B, and C, and it's consideration of possible action of order 2014-02006, 007, and 008.
So move, Mr. Mayor.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the ayes have it. D, consideration and possible action of order 2014-02-009.
Mr. Mayor, this is directly tied also to those purchases. We have to move budget authority over from the lease to the appropriate department, and that's what this item is doing.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion? Thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. E, consideration possible action of order 2014-02-010. Mr. Dillon?
Yeah, Alejandro, or John, one of you guys. Thanks.
Mr. Mayor, we need to pass this order. It's a requirement by the people at WIFA to get mayor and council's approval, directing staff to go out and seek loan, grant, or loan forgivable opportunities. But before we can even engage WIFA in exploring some of these funding sources, their requirement is that this board or mayor and council direct us to do so. Did it?
That's right. Mr. Mayor, I would only add to that this is specific to the Crawford project.
Yes.
We are hoping to engage with in getting some kind of creative financing option to get the water improvements done there, so we're prepared when ADOT comes in with the paving part of it.
You know, could I mention, Mr. Machado, something about the paving project, even though it's not on here? In reference to the Crawford project, since it's part of this? No? No, I better not, okay. Well, you guys are safe. You guys, man, you gotta thank Mr. Machado and Mr. Evans.
Staff recommends that you approve this.
No, yes, I know, okay. I need a motion on this.
I make a motion.
So move.
Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. City managers report, Mr. Gilly?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted you to know, last council meeting, you talked about, we talked generally about some audit concerns, with our downtown businesses. Come to find out, it's been quite a while since we've canvassed all of our businesses, done a routine check with all of them, making sure that they're filling out their forms quite, the right way. They've got the right X's in the right boxes, and they're doing things according to our city policies. I just want to let you know we're engaging our consultant to once again do a canvassing of all our businesses. I think it was last done in 2006, 2009. Somewhere in there. So it's been quite a while. It's probably time to do it again. Also wanted to share a bit of good news with everybody. We heard from IBWC today that they've agreed to use their federal allocation of $750,000 to pay in full the needed study. We have agreed on our end to this is all in over the phone and email, right? But we've agreed on our end to help with some in-kind services, identifying manholes and doing what we can. But in terms of writing a check and paying a contractor to do the design, IBWC is going to take 100% of that cost. I think that's a big win for us on our end. The money was there, it was available, and it's been a lot of stop and go with IBWC. But we're grateful. I'm grateful to them for finally coming up to the plate and doing that, and hopefully we'll get kicked off with an MOU that we can bring back to you guys for action.
That's good
At
news.
first, Mr. Mayor, at first they wanted us to come up with 50%, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's been all over the board. It's been 50% down to 23%. We thought that we were okay, and then it went to back up to 50, and then so it's been all over the place. So that's all good.
Oh, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
I want to thank our city manager and our legal department. I'm sure they had a lot to do with that, so
Of course.
they did good work. Good job.
It's
Thank you.
definitely been a team effort, it really has. Thank you. And finally, you know, I just want to report back to the council. In fact, it did happen when I went up to the the Arizona City Managers Conference. I was elected to the ACMA board, the state board, so that'll be good exposure for the city. It's a 2-year term, so it's not forever, but it'll be a good experience as well. So I just want to report that back to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yobi. And any future agenda items? Mr. Parra?
I want an update on unit source possible action.
Oh, okay. So really, put that down.
Update on Meadow Hills Country Club also.
Yes.
We'll see.
I think
Oh,
we're
you
gonna
know
have
what?
that
I
meeting.
actually had one more item.
Can we have that
Sorry.
meeting there?
Yeah, so we have scheduled, is it the 18th?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so February
Tuesday.
18th,
Six.
we have a scheduled meeting, kind of a public forum in the neighborhood. What I needed to know is if we needed to post that as a possible quorum of the council. The direction that I take, you know, from our dialogues in the past, is you've asked staff to go and meet and get information, get ideas from the residents, and then bring that back to you as a council. But Letty needs to know if it's the intent that the whole council show up, or do you just want staff to handle that? We just need to know.
I recommend staff present to the council.
But I think maybe just post it in case we do show up.
Okay.
Well, just tell us if you're.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know, you never
Post
know.
it.
so here's the thing, I can assure you that, well,
I think tentatively more people will show up if they know that we're gonna be there.
they wouldn't know, we would
You
do
know,
our normal,
I will let them know.
we'd do our normal posting, I'm sure you will.
Okay, I don't think you need to post it. If you're going to just go and listen and you're not there to discuss and make decisions, then it doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to be
Okay.
posted. Okay.
Because the worst thing to do is talk about it and then bring it back to this dais. That's what you don't wanna do.
Are we limited to that, or can you have a personal conversation with other residents after the meeting?
Well,
Are we,
should it be in public?
I'm sorry, what's that?
well, that's where we need your
Discuss.
legal opinion there. As a councilman, if we're out there, we listen, and then somebody approaches us and has a conversation about it, can we have a conversation?
You can have conversations, people, as long as it's not a quorum.
And as long as you don't commit to anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, well,
They want to share their opinions, how they have to just take input.
Yeah, because
Is this
explain
coming
that,
back?
Mr.
It's coming
Machado,
back.
because we don't want any problems. Mr. Machado.
if you were to be approached by someone, you're free to discuss it, give your opinion and so on, as long as it's not a quorum when you're not doing it. You're not with 4 other councilmen when you're doing
If
it.
there's 2, 3,
Right.
it's all right.
The prudent approach would be just to listen and to take whatever information you're gonna have without offering any opinion as to how you're gonna react, vote, or discuss, and so on.
Thank you. Take that as good legal.
And can I